All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining me today. So this month's training, our topic is on resource tracking. So Salamander offers really two unique solutions, the Track app and Rapid Tag, that's used to assist with accurately tracking your resources as they check in and out during an event. Now, Command is another solution that can be used to track resources. However, in today's training, we're not going to be covering that. If you want more information on Command, I do have some training within Salamander University in which you can go back and review. There's a couple of videos in there as well as some user guides. Now, due to the limited time, the training today is going to only focus on the main functionalities for the Track app and Rapid Tag. I'll also provide some tips and tricks, some best practices so that you can get the most out of today's training. As always, I'm open for questions, so feel free to unmute yourself and ask those questions. You can also send a message through the chat function. All right, so the first solution we're going to cover is the Track app. So just a high-level overview of what the Track app is, especially for those that are new to Salamander and to the Track app. So the Track app, it's a mobile application that can be used on any Android or iOS device, so that can be a mobile phone, so a smartphone or a tablet. It's generally used in the field to scan Salamander credentials and then check those credentials in, so check those resources in to their specific tasks or assignments. Now, in the case where someone may have forgotten to bring their credential, you can download their credential directly from Salamander Live and into their assignment within the app. Now, all data and activity, so all tracking activity is collected within the Track app, and then that's all sent up to Salamander Live and then shared amongst the other Salamander tracking solutions. So that could be other Track app users, that could be Rapid Tag, that could be Command. So it's all those solutions that are joined to the event. And what that does is it gives everybody visibility to all the event resources. Okay, so let me just minimize this real quick. Let me bring up the Track app. So here's the Track app. So I've got this on my iPhone. So again, you can use Android or iOS. The look and feel between the two platforms is very much the same. There's little differences that you'll notice here and there. For the most part, look and feel is exactly the same. So in here, if you can see on my Track app, once I log in, it's going to take you directly into the events. So you're going to land on the in-progress event. So this is going to pull down all active events that you have currently running. So any of those that have not ended. At the top, you'll have some options for you to, of course, turn on and off identity verification. So that is a feature that's provided for all Track app users that gives you an additional a way to kind of screen and validate your IDs as you're scanning them in. And this is going to be for all credentials that you scan in. And, of course, the sign out button. So from here, what you can do is you can either start the event or you can join an event. What I mean by join is that you've got if you have other solutions such as Command or Rapid Tag that's already started the event, those events are basically synced up to Salamander Live, and then that information is synced back out to all connected resources. So in this case, the Track app's connected to Salamander Live, so this is pulling down all those events, and I can just basically tap to join that event. Or I can tap the new button down here and create a brand new one. In this case, I'm going to create a brand new event. So I'm just going to name this one Operation Thursday. Okay, and I'm going to put today's date, 08/12/21, and I'm going to create. So what this does is it's going to take you into the event itself. So this is where you can actually start going in and scanning in those credentials. So those credentials are the ones that you're printing directly from Salamander Live. As you know, in Salamander Live, you got your full database of people, you've got your equipment, you've got inventory in there. With the track app, what you're really looking at is checking in your people and equipment that are going to be a part of this particular event. So in this case, you'll have on here the off-scene assignment, which is the default assignment that appears on here. All the assignments that that you would have for the event, you have two ways of downloading of getting them into the event. You can either download them directly from Salamander Live from your track app, or you can actually scan the barcodes if you have them. On a realistic, if we're looking at a realistic type event, more than likely your track app users are not going to have a set of barcodes for assignments to scan in. More than likely they'll be downloading them. In other cases, you may have the assignments already created for you through our planning solution, which we have not launched yet. We will be launching that soon. More information to come on that. But that can also include all your assignments already. Or if you've joined an event and there were already assignments within the event created by other track app users or through RapidTag or Command, those assignments will also push through. So in this case, we're looking at a blank slate. We're starting the event, and we're going to actually download the assignments. So right here, you'll see at the top right, it's going to be a plus button. Simply tap on that, and then you can add in your assignments. So in this case, it's going to pull down all the assignments that you as a user have access to within Salamander Live. So in Salamander Live, there is this list of assignments. Let me just log in here really quick. Let me just move this over here. I'm going to show you guys exactly where this is pulling from. So what you'll want to do to kind of prep your track app users is making sure that you've got all your different assignments in here. They could be specifically for the event, or they can be all different types of assignments that you would ever use for any event. So in this case, it's pulling down this list, and it would pull it down in technically in alphabetical order in your track app. So if you have access to everything, all organizations, you would have the entire list. But in here, you can create these assignments and attach them to different organizations, depending. So this is what it's pulling from when we're looking at this list right here, this download list. So in this case, you have a couple ways you can do this. You can either do a search at the very top here to search for a specific assignment, or you can kind of scroll through your list and try to find what you're looking for. So just for training purpose, I'm just going to add a whole bunch of different assignments in here. They may not make sense, but I just wanted to make sure that we're going through the flow and that process of how to add these assignments. Notate the process and how I'm adding these assignments in here. That's going to be the same way when you're looking at downloading and adding in other resources. The process is exactly the same. So what you're looking on here is just simply tapping the icon, so the picture. So you'll see this like a little clipboard in there. All you're doing is you're tapping on that, and then you can kind of go through your different items in here. So you can just kind of select what you want to put in here. So I'm just adding a whole bunch of different assignments in here. Again, don't pay attention to the what I've selected in here. But in this case, if we were looking at going through like a specific event, you would obviously have them select the assignments that would match up with your event. All that obviously would be done through pre-planning already. If this was an emergency and you had to restart or you had to start an event real quick, you can just probably add like a staging assignment or something real quick to start checking in people. So in this case, you've got all your different assignments in here. As I stated, you are able to scan those assignments in as well. If you have barcodes, those barcodes can be printed from Salamander Live, just like how you would print credentials. You would select your assignments and then click the print button. This prints everything off into an 8.5 by 11 sheet of barcodes, which includes about 10 barcodes per sheet. I'll show you an example of that so you guys can kind of see what those would look like. So in this case, this is what they would look like. Let me pull one that actually has more than just 5. Let's see here. What do I have? Okay. So it would look like this. Let me just maximize this for you to see. So these are different types of barcodes that you can print from Salamander Live. So these are the assignment barcodes. This comes in 10 barcodes per sheet. So again, not really realistic for a track app user. This would probably be used more on the command side. So command would be, this would be much more beneficial for command users versus track app users. Not that you can't use it for track, but it's just a realistic factor. I mean, you're not going to have these barcodes. Your track app users are not going to have these barcodes. So downloading is going to be the most realistic process. So once you have all these assignments in here, your next step is to add your resources. So this is when we're looking at tracking of resources, and this is what Track App is made for. The Track App is made to track these resources, scan them in, get them checked in with a time and a date, and then you can review all that information within Salamander Live in the event reports. So a couple ways you can do that. There's two. One is you can download them exactly like how I showed you before in downloading assignments. You can download those resources from there. So you can download, as of today, you can download equipment and you can download people. With our next release, which is coming, I want to say it's coming soon. I don't have actual dates on this, but coming soon, much future, you'll be able to download collections as well. With our next release, you'll be able to print those barcodes for collections and be able to print and be able to scan those collection barcodes in. But in the much future release, you'll be able to download them through the Track App. But that's not coming in this next release. So in this case, I'm gonna scan some barcodes. Let me just put these barcodes out here. So a couple different ways you can do this. So with the Track App, the process is kind of interchangeable. You can do it right from the event screen without selecting the assignment. You can select the assignment after you scan the tag in. So again, these are people that are checking in that have credentials. So in this case, I'm going to tap the scan button at the bottom here. It's going to activate my camera. If this is the very first time that you're using the Track App, it's going to ask you whether or not you would allow the Track App to access the camera. Make sure you click OK. If you select Don't Allow, you're going to have to go back into your phone settings and change that, because then you won't be able to use the scan function or the scan function at all. Okay, so tap OK. It's going to activate your camera. In this case, you're just going to scan the barcode. So I scan the barcode on here. What you're going to get is you're going to get this screen right here, which is the Select Assignment screen. Because we did this from the event screen, it's going to ask you to select the assignment. You have two options. You can either select one from the list, or you can create a brand new one. So this field right here allows you to do two things. You can filter your list, especially if it's a large-scale event. You may have hundreds of assignments in here. Last thing you want to do is kind of scroll through your list to try to find out exactly what you're looking for. In this case, you can use this filter to kind of filter out what you're looking for specifically. Or in this case, you can create a brand new assignment. So this is the only way you can create a new assignment is when after you scan a credential is where you can create a brand new assignment. So something that may not be within your assignments database within Salamander Live. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and create one. Let's just put this one as Incident Commander. I know I have this within my database, but I'm just going to create it right here. So here it is. Best practice for this, some tips, making sure that your people, especially if they're creating new assignments, spell them correctly. You can't edit the assignment once it's been created. It will always be forever be a part of that event. So if you spelled Commander wrong, it's going to be spelled incorrectly throughout the event and all your reports. So once you enter in the new assignment, simply tap the green check mark right there. It's going to add the assignment. Okay, and then it's also going to add the person. So this right here is Salamander Identity Verification. So I touched on this briefly in the beginning where you can turn this on or off. So this is validating the ID that I'm scanning. You can turn this off, which would not go through this, but if you have this on like how I do, it's going to validate this, saying that, so this right here is coming up with a warning saying this identity was not found. So if there's any warnings, it's going to tell you exactly what the warning is for. What this really means is that this is an older ID. And so it doesn't match what's currently within Salamander Live. Or the ID was actually, or this person's record has been deleted from the system. So that's what it's saying here. So you have the option as the Track App user to block or allow this person on your scene. So in this case, if I allow this person, you'll see that my camera stays active. So right now, camera stays active. You'll notice at the bottom says the person's been added to the assignment. This assignment right here is the active assignment. So, and with this continuous scan mode, as we start scanning in more people, they're going to automatically be thrown into this assignment. So if you don't want that to be the case, you want to make sure that you back out of that camera so that you're not scanning additional people into that assignment if they're not supposed to be in that assignment. So you'll see at the very top, you'll see the par count has gone up on here. We scroll down to the bottom, we'll see that Incident Commander has been added. So I'll do another one on here so you guys can see real quick and how the continuous scanning works. So you can set this up at your check-in station. So if you have a check-in station, we do have like stands and stuff that you can set up for your tablets. And you can leave the continuous scan mode on, leave it on the staging area or checked in, whatever your assignment you're using on there, and everybody can just, the people that are looking at check-in can just put their tag underneath. There will be a little marked spot where they can put their ID in, and they'll just automatically scan them and put them into that particular assignment, whether that's checked in, staging, whatever you select. And so that people can just come through, and you would have a person overseeing that, just verifying, making sure that everybody's ID is being scanned in. So there's ways that you can make the check-in process a lot easier. Of course, you can have someone stand there and use their phone to just check them in as what I'm doing right now. So in this case, I'm going to tap the scan button again. I'm going to scan this next person. So best practices for scanning barcodes, make sure you have enough lighting. So if it's if it's kind of dark out and there's glare or you can't really see the barcode, just know that you may have to move and kind of focus the camera a little bit, or you may have to shine some light if it's too dark so that it can read the barcode. So in this case, I'm just going to put this person as checked in Westgate. Again, verified. So I can just go down the line and start scanning all these people. You see I'm just scanning. Again, you may have to focus in and out. So you see this one is qualification expired, so it lets you know this person has qualifications. Let's see, firefighter 1 that's expired. So up to you if you want to allow or block them. It's going to allow for training purposes. Sorry, my lighting is a little bad down here. I've got this little lamp. My office light is not so good. Same thing. So you see on here, continuous scanning just kind of goes through that process. You can scan as many people as you need to for that same assignment. Okay, so right now you'll see it that our count for people has gone up to 4. You'll see in here we moved everybody into checked in Westgate. So that's checking your resources. The same process can be done for equipment. This can be done for collections. You'll see there's all these different icons at the top here. So this one is for people. This is for equipment. This is for collections. Collections are basically a combination or a group of people and equipment. They're going to be tracked as a single resource. That means that, let's say there's a strike team that comes in and they have, there's 5 people that are part of that strike team. They have equipment that's with them that you want to track and know what you have on scene. You can check them all in together. Unfortunately, when it comes to collections, you can't create the collections within the track app. The collection has to be created through either command or has to be created through rapid tag. So right now, as of right now, there's only really 2.5 solutions that are able to create collections. There's also the tag app that you can create collections as well too. And then in Salamander Live, there's a way for you to create collections as well. As of right now, though, you aren't able to print any barcodes for that. That's why I'm saying 2.5, because that's not coming until our next release, which will come in here probably in the next month or so. And in that case, you'll have barcodes. You'll be able to scan those ones that you create through command in here for your collections. You'll see the 4th icon in here is for patients. So yes, there is a way for you to scan in patients in here through the track app. You can scan anything that has a barcode on there, and it would pull up the patient triage form. So in this case, like for example, I just have my body armor, bottled water here, or bottle. I can scan in that. If I can get this to scan. I've got a triage tag somewhere here, but again, more than likely you'll be scanning a triage tag, not a bottle like how I'm doing here. If I can get this to work. There's too much glare on here, so it's not working. I'll find a barcode here that I can scan. so that you can see how this would look like. Let me see. I've got one in here. Here's one. So this is a generic tag. So if I created one, call medical tent, space on there. So this is what happens. You would get this patient form, and you can fill in this information. Select the triage level. You can put their first name, last name, age if you want to. Those are all, again, optional information if you choose to do so. So the Track app allows you to not just do resources, but you can also do patients as well. Of course, we have our own separate solution to scan in patients and evacuees through our Rapid Take evac solution. So if you're interested in that, I highly recommend you contact your local sales rep to get more information about our Rapid Take evac solution. So I'm just going to exit out of that. Download function for people. Simply tap the plus button, tap personnel. This is going to pull down your entire list from Salamander Live in which you have access to. Again, if you're limited for databases, that's all you're going to see. So in this case, you have your two options. You can either, again, scroll down, select a person by tapping their name, so you can download multiple people. You can search for one person. So when you're searching, you can only unfortunately search for one person, but if you do this bottom piece, you can download as many as you want. Just note that everybody that you're adding and that you've selected here are going to one assignment. So that's going to be very important to notate when you're looking at this. If I'm adding all these different people, just know that they're all going to one assignment. So if I throw this in here for crisis negotiations team, so 5 resources added. Okay. So now this goes up. Same thing for equipment. If you wanted to add equipment in here. So this obviously works different than the inventory app. The inventory app, you are looking at a tracking process for inventory that you're issuing out to people. So where those people are now responsible and accountable for those additional items, whether they're fixed equipment or consumable type items like PPE. On the event side, for the Track app, when you're looking at equipment, this is more visibility for those that are managing the event. What equipment do you have on scene that you may need to be deployed to assist in whatever event it is that you're running? So in this case, you can download those events right here, or those equipment, same thing. Tap the plus button, tap equipment. So this is going to pull down your entire equipment database. So if you also have inventory management, this will also pull down your inventory as well too. So all your consumable items, just notate that. So let's say if you want to know, how much, you want to know what particular engines are there on scene. You want to know if you have ambulances on scene, where they're, if they're in staging or something waiting, whatever it is that you want to do on here. I'm just going to add a couple of these items in here. I'm going to create this a staging assignment. And then there I've added those equipment to the staging. So I know that there are, these engine and a ambulance that's available if needed in staging. So again, you can track your equipment as well too on top of people. Okay. Any questions so far on this process? Same thing for equipment. You can we talked about downloading, but we didn't talk about scanning. So again, if you have barcodes for your equipment, you can scan those in too. Again, in a realistic situation, more than likely you won't have your equipment barcoded or labeled unless you have the inventory management piece as well too, which you can scan those. But just note that you are able to print off barcodes for equipment in an 8.5 by 11. More than likely that would follow your command computer, but not for your Track app users. So downloading for equipment is probably going to be more what you'll see versus scanning from a Track app perspective. And then collections, I've got a collection barcode on here. I'll show you real quick how that can be scanned in. So let me pull my collection barcode right here. So this is a collection barcode that was created through Rapid Tag. There's my collection barcode. So here it is. I'm going to select my assignment. I'm going to select staging. Camera. You'll see in here it's going to pull down all the people that's within the collection barcode. And I'll talk about this when we go through Rapid Tag, but your collections barcode, actually any barcodes that you print from Rapid Tag are actually static type barcodes. Anything that's printed through your pre-credentialing through Salamander Live are also static unless you scan those through the Track app. So your Salamander credentials, those hard cards, if you print those off from Salamander Live and you scan them through the Track app will always pull the most updated information from that person's profile. Unfortunately, because Rapid Tag is a temporary database, you don't get the same for Rapid Tag type IDs. So this is where you want to verify, make sure that you've got all the people that's supposed to be there for this particular collection. So this is APFD Engine 588. You verify the equipment, you verify the people. If they're all there, you can accept. If not, you can select the ones that are not there and then accept. Camera stays active. In this case, we'll go in here. You'll see that now we've got one collection in here. So when you're looking at resource tracking, it's not just all about checking them in, but it's also about moving them to where they need to go, right? So for example, if all these people are being checked into staging, if you're using this for our conference, if you're looking at checking these people into different classes, you obviously want to move them around from assignment to assignment or class to class in that case. So there's also that option of doing that within the Track app as well. So for example, you've got all these people within staging, or if this could be a checked-in assignment, you want to move them where they're going next. So in this case, there's a couple ways you can do it. Of course, you can scan them into their new assignment, or you can manually move them from assignment to assignment. So in this case, if I go to my staging assignment, let's say my collection is ready to be deployed. So I'm going to tap on them. So in this case, I can tap on them, and then you'll see at the very top there's going to be that, it looks like a little suitcase with a little arrow. So that's the move icon. So in this case, I tap on that. I can select the new assignment in which this person or this collection is going to be assigned to. So I can select it from my existing list, or I can create a brand new assignment. Okay. I'm just going to put on here fire suppression. Tap the check mark, and now that collection has been moved to the new assignment. You see that? How quick and easy that is? Obviously, you know, if it's a large-scale event, you're not going to be able to kind of go through your collection, try to find that person or that resource. So that's where the search function is going to come into play as well too. You can search for a person, you can search for an equipment, whatever it is that you're looking for. So if I type in Andrew, search, there he is. If you want to know specifically where he's at, instead of tapping his picture, if you tap on his name, that's going to pull up his profile. And if you scroll down, this is going to pull down his profile. So whatever is on his record right now in Salamander Live, all his qualifications. And down the bottom, it's going to tell you exactly where he's at. So this is going to pull his assignment history. So it shows he's in the checked-in West Gate. He's been there since 2:17 p.m. So in this case, if you want to move back and let's say he's being assigned to a different assignment, again, tap his name and then move him where he needs to go. And now he's been moved. There's a way for you to move everybody as well too. So if you've got a whole bunch of people that are all going to the same assignment, you can do a select all. So at the very top here, you'll see that there's 3 lines and a check mark. That's a select all option. And then you can move all those people. Oh, let me just refresh my screen. So select all those people and then move them where they need to go. And all those people have been moved. Of course, the other way you can do this is to scan them into their new assignment, which if you know their assignment, you can select their assignment and then you can scan them in. And it's going to move them from whichever assignment they're in to this new assignment. As simple as that. So I'm just going to scan this person and move them into their new assignment. So verified, tap back. So if I tap his name, you'll see in here, You'll see 217, 229, all of the different timestamps for him that's been tracked and stamped on his record. Okay, any questions on this process? So this information, as you're working on one track app, it's being sent up to Salamander Live, and it's being synced across all your track app users. As long as they're all joined into the same event, they should see all the same information. So there shouldn't be any differences between all your track app users. They should see all the data exactly the same. Now on their screen, they may be a little bit different because they have an ability to kind of filter their assignments and what they want to see. So if they have a filter set in here, like for example, in this case, I choose to only see let's see, I choose to only see the staging assignment. This is, again, the differences that you may see in here. But in the case, if they're seeing all assignments, all data is still being synced across all applications. Okay. Questions on the track app? When it comes to tracking resources, I forgot to mention one thing, which is an important thing, is that your track app users, the person that's working the track app, make sure you check them in as well. Just because you as a track app user logged into the track app and joined the event, it does not automatically check you into the event. So make sure you check yourself in if you are going to be working the track app, so that it counts your time and everything. So again, all this information is being pushed up to Salamander Live, so you can see all that within the events dashboard and within all the reports. So any questions on the track app before we move on to Rapid Tag? Okay. I'm going to move this over. All right, so let's take a look at Rapid Tag then. So Rapid Tag, so where the track app is used to check in resources with credentials, Rapid Tag is generally used to check in resources without credentials. So these could be planned resources that you choose not to print permanent credentials for, or they could be unplanned resources such as volunteers that show up to assist with your event. So again, it's really up to you and how you choose to use Rapid Tag. There's multiple different ways, but either way, it's for people that don't have a Salamander credential but need one. So with Rapid Tag, resources can be checked in by scanning their driver's licenses. There's other different types of IDs, which I'll show you on the next screen, that will show you a list of all the different other types of IDs that you can scan into the system. Or of course you can manually enter their information in. And then at the end of that, once you capture the information, you can print them in an event-specific credential. So what this does is it makes Rapid Tag an actual tagging and tracking solution in one, as you can see on here in the little tagline right here. So the event-specific credentials that are printed from Rapid Tag, again, these are going to be more basic than what you would have for a credential that's printed from Salamander Live. Again, of course, Rapid Tag, just like Salamander Live, you can custom design those so they contain more information. But again, the default design has just real basic information, including an interoperable barcode that can then be scanned by any of our other Salamander solutions. So yes, once you print off this ID tag from Rapid Tag, that can be scanned through the track app. Of course, it can be scanned through Rapid Tag again, or it can be scanned through command. Like the track app, all that data that's collected through Rapid Tag is sent up to Salamander Live. So yes, that does mean you have to have internet connection with your Rapid Tag computer so that data can be shared across all the other joined Salamander tracking solutions to create that common operating picture. So again, giving everybody visibility of all your resources. So next screen on here is going to kind of show you a list of all the different types of IDs that you can scan on here. So you'll see in here all 50 states, all the new IDs, the real IDs are accepted. Again, this is for version 5. So there's two different versions of Rapid Tag that we have out there. There's a version 4, and then there's a version 5. Version 5 is our newest version, which we released, I want to say, 2 years ago. Don't quote me on that. But that version allows for the different IDs that you see listed here to be scanned in, as well as two-way sync. So I recommend that you upgrade if you still are working off of version 4 to switch up and upgrade to version 5. Contact your local sales rep, or you can contact us at support, and we will assist with that upgrade for your rapid tag. All right, so I've got rapid tag up here. I'm working off of version 5. Unfortunately, I can't make this screen any bigger, so I apologize if it's harder to see on your screen. But this is the rapid tag when you log in. So rapid tag version 5 does require you to log in. So you'll see at the top here it says welcome, and it's going to show the username. So in this case, all you have to do is start. So when you're doing the upgrade, there's no needing to change your scanners or anything like that. But of course, rapid tag works best if you have a scanner. So you want to make sure that you have a scanner. We also have some customers that still have like the mag stripe readers that you can slide in to read a driver's license, such like that. Very small group of people that have that, but more than likely it's going to be the USB scanners. So really all you're doing on here is creating the event. So I'm just going to create the event real quick in here. I'm going to call it the exact same thing, Operation Thursday. And then click Start. You'll notice at the bottom mine says production status unknown. So this is my connection to the internet. Even though I've got internet connection on here, if you see this, make sure you click sync. What that's going to do is going to send that information up to Salamander Live. So that makes sure that your production status says online. That's going to be very important, especially if you want this data to be viewed within the reports. So the one thing to note about the track app is that the track app, you can work that off, comms in and comms out. The only thing is that the event has to be started or joined during comms in. If you lose internet connection during the track app, everything's going to stay in queue, and wait until you have internet connection again, and everything will be synced up. Same thing with rapid tag in this case. So if you lose internet connection, you want to make sure that you don't close out of this event or anything. Leave it running, and then when you get internet connection, make sure you click sync, so it sends all that information that's been sitting in queue back up to Salamander Live. So that's going to be very important to notate. So with this, super simple, you've got your scanner, so you want to make sure that's plugged in. The scanners can be a little bit sensitive depending on the port, so make sure you put that into the correct port. So in this case, if you have a driver's license, you can scan the driver's license into the system. I actually have a real one in here, so I'm going to just scan the one that I kind of made up on here, because I don't want anybody's real information, since we do record this and post this in YouTube. So I'm going to scan this barcode right here. So in this case, first things first, when you scan the driver's license, it's going to pull up whatever information that's been embedded into that barcode for that driver's license. Every state's a little bit different. Like, I don't have the real ID yet. I have to get one by the end of this year. But my ID does not have the address information in here. Mine just has the driver's license number, my first name and last name, and birth date. That's all that pulls up. Now, some driver's license, you may have the full gamut. You might have everything up here plus an address in here. We recommend when you're looking at scanning in for rapid tag users to enter in all information. But again, really depends on your organization and the type of people that you're scanning into the system if you want to capture that data. So the very first thing at the very top here is to enter in the organization. You can either go through your list. So there's a list of organizations that does populate in here. If the organization that they're with is not in here, then you can click on New and create the organization. So in this case, let's say they're from Musco County. They're not in this. They're in here. I can click on this. If they're not, I can click on New. I can create one. So let's say this person is from let's see here, Forestville Police Department. So let's say this is an agency that's coming to assist. So go in here, select the type, country, the state, and then click Finish. And now this is now part of your database for rapid tag. So this is a permanent part of your database for rapid tag. This organization database is separate than what you would have within Salamander Live. I'll show you where that database is located within RapidTag here. So once you have the organization here, make sure you, the ID number, you'll notice that it auto-generates an ID number. I recommend you not changing this. Another thing to note with this is that if you have people that have a Salamander ID, so a Salamander credential that's been printed from Salamander Live, I recommend you not going in here and scanning in their driver's license. Because later, let's say later they come back in and say, oh, I found my Salamander ID, and you scan that, you're going to have two records for that person. One that's going to show up as a generic, or not a generic, but a RapidTag type record, and then you're going to have their actual true record from Salamander Live. So what I recommend is going to the track app, having that person go to the track app line and having them download their record into the event versus coming here and scanning them in through this way. So you're not creating two separate transactions for that person. Information we recommend for every person that's scanned in here, even if you don't want to put address in here, is phone number and email. Reason why? Because in the track app, you're able to pull this information. You're able to pull the phone number and email of that person. Not only that, in some of the reports that we have for events, you're able to see that information on those reports. If you need to contact that person, say they don't have a radio, but their phone number is there, you can call them and, you know, give whatever directions or instructions you need for that individual. Birth date, you can leave that. Their driver's license number normally populates in this case. This wasn't a real ID, so it doesn't populate in here, but that would be entered here. You can enter an address if you want to. Again, we have some reports that do pull up the address. In this case, if these are true volunteers and you want to track it for reimbursement, that is some of the requirements. They do require you to have an address information here, so I recommend you enter that in. Okay. So select your country, your state. Okay, and then their postal code. And then you'll see in here assignment. This is what we have currently in here. This is what I set up as a default. I'll show you where that's at once we get out of this. But this assignment was set before I started the event. So that's one thing to note with RapidTag. So I have this in here, and you'll see that there's two. There's always an off scene since I allow that, and then a checked in type assignment. So this is a default assignment. You can enter a rate for this individual. You can enter so that it does appear in the cost reports. You can enter an expiration. So as I mentioned earlier, all your barcodes that you print from RapidTag, these are static barcodes. So whatever you enter in here, if you make changes later in the event and you try to scan that barcode, it's going to still pull up the same information, the old information, not the updated. So you can set an expiration on this. If this event is running for 5 days, you can set the expiration for those 5 days. Or if you choose to have that person check in every single day and have a new ID printed, totally up to you on how you want to run that. And then of course you can set a specific time in here as well too. Just note that this uses military time. So if you do put an expiration date, make sure that you put an expiration time in here as well. Title, their role, location, if you want to put to, again, all optional, but this does print off on the ID. So the specific ID that you're printing, it prints off on that. The rate does not print off on that, but that will appear within your cost reports. Once you're done, simply click Finish. And then this will start printing off your printer. So if you choose to use the 2x3 hard cards to print for your RapidTag people, or if you choose to use the labels, really up to you. Operation Thursday, RT. Okay, I'll show you what the ID looks like. So I chose the 2x3 2x3 design for rapid tag, so this is what it will look like. So if I filled in the role, location, expiration, that will all be printed off on here. And it tells you right here that's a rapid tag type ID. So again, this is your specific event ID. So it shows you the event name up at the very top here. On a Salamander Live credential, you'll never have the event name on the ID itself because that is their actual permanent credential. So that's a big giveaway on whether it's printed from Salamander Live or if it's printed from rapid tag. So that's check-in. So you see that person's been checked in. Right here I'll show you where I entered in the actual assignment, the default assignment. So there's file options, and this is something you want to do before you start the event because you can't change it once you start the event. So right here under the fourth tab on here is the assignment. So this is where you can change this for whatever you want this to be. So I have this checked in to this checked in assignment as checked in Westgate. You can put whatever you want in there. If you want to just put checked in, if you want to change it to staging, and then because I selected the enable checkout, the off-scene assignment appears on here. So yes, with rapid tag, you are able to move people off scene. If you choose not to allow your rapid tag people to check out people, then you want to make sure that you don't select that checkbox. So really just depends on your processes. You can track apps the same way. Track app, you can check in people, but you can move people and you can also check out people. Same thing with rapid tag. With version 5, you can check them in. You can move them from different assignments to assignments in rapid tag, as well as move them and to the off-scene assignment. So only available through version 5. So that's how you can quickly just add in people. If you want to manually add, just click the add button. Okay, and you can fill in the information. Now, one thing to note when it comes to scanning, you don't have to click on anything to scan. You can just simply start scanning away. You see I'm on my main screen on here. I can just click scan that person's ID and this pops up. You don't never have to click the add button and then scan it. So if you try to do that, you're going to get an error. So if you're on the screen and you're trying to scan, it's not going to work. So make sure you're just on this main screen and then scan the ID. So that's a best practice tip right there. Okay. You'll see that there's other different tabs on here: equipment, collections, and then organization. I talked about the organization, so you can create your own organization database in here. This is going to be separate than your organization database within Salamander Live. So these are going to be for your, if you want to think of it as your volunteers type agencies or agencies that you know will come and assist certain events 20% of the time, not 100% of the time. So if they're only going to be there for 1 or 2 events, you may not want to enter them into Salamander Live and create them a permanent credential, because after those 2 events, they may not come and assist anymore. So why waste supplies that way versus you can use rapid tag and print them IDs in that case. And once they're done, they're done. They're not in your permanent database. As you know, there's a limit on the number of personnel records you can have for depending on the package that you purchased. So this in a way assists with that. So if they're 20, I'd say like 20% of the time, then I would, it would be recommended to create them in rapid tag instead versus Salamander Live. Okay, so you just click add and add all your different organizations that are coming to assist so that they will be available in that drop down. For equipment, same thing. More than likely equipment, you're not going to have barcodes, so the best way is to scan them in by adding them in manually. I'll just pull this document so you can see the different types of information you can pull on here. So ID, description, the organization, again, the assignment, and then collections, exact same thing. The collections, we talked a little bit about this, that you're able to create a collection through rapid tag. So the collection piece, simply click add. First things first is naming that collection. So what is that collection? So you have your two fields right here that's required, so the ID and the name. So if this is a strike team, you can see as I start typing in, the ID and the name is going to be exactly the same. If you want this to be something different, you can just do ST1 and then tab down to the name, and then you can type in whatever you want in there. You see that? So again, put in your specific organization. This is part of Forestville All this other stuff is kind of optional. Again, the assignment on here, so far we only have 2. I'll show you in a little bit once we join the 2 events together what happens to your assignment. And then click Next. And then it's going to take you into this collection detail screen. So this is where you can actually go in and start adding in your different people and equipment that belong to this collection. So in this case, you can scan in more driver's licenses. So again, you can scan in the driver's license. I'm going to just scan this person real quick. Here it is. Fill in the information. Just pretend we filled out all the phone number, email, all that stuff. Here it is. So you can just keep adding your people. Once you add all your people in here, there's an option for you to select to make someone a leader. So like for example, if I mark this as Jamil as the leader in this, what this does, especially if you have command, it bolds that person in that collection on the command side under that assignment. So that's a big giveaway in who you need to contact if you need to contact this particular team. Same thing for equipment. You can manually add items, whatever it is. You can, again, just click to highlight it and then click Add. Once you're done adding your collection, you have the option to print. So in this case, there's options right here. You'll see there's a print when entered, and there's a collection members. So by default, I have this set up to print both. Print when entered is going to print one ID. So one ID for the entire collection. So that barcode on there is going to include information on everybody that's part of this collection, Strike Team 1. If I also have the checkbox selected on the bottom where it says collection members, it will print off also an individual barcode for all your different people. So it's going to print off 4 IDs, one for the collection, and each person is going to have their own IDs as well. That could come in handy, especially if the strike team gets separated and let's say this person, Carrie Schmidt, needs to go from strike team 1 and goes home. You can scan her own individual ID and move her out of that collection into her or into the off-scene assignment so that there's only 2 people left on here. So it's a way for you to track and account for all your people by having multiple options on here. One collection and then one for the individuals. Because remember, your collection barcode is static. So even though Carrie Schmidt is no longer part of this collection, if I scan that collection barcode either in the rapid tag or command or command or track, it's going to pull everybody again together into whichever assignment you scan them into. So that's going to be important to notate when you're looking at collection barcodes. Okay, I'm just going to select this one right here, so you can see what that looks like. Okay, so there's that ID. I'll show you what that one looks like. Same thing, it's just that it prints it sideways on here for that. You'll see that this is a larger ID. It's going to be probably a little more dense because there's more people. So when it comes to QR codes, the more information you have in there, the more dense that QR code becomes. Okay. All right. So again, this is just your basic, creating an event through RapidTag. But normally you have your RapidTag connected to your track app and your other solutions, right? So I'm going to show you that process next on here because, again, it's multi-steps, right? You've got your base RapidTag user, but then if you join that in with your track app users, you're going to get a bunch of more data that's going to be sent over. So in Salamander Live, so we created 2 events, right? One in RapidTag called Operation Thursday, and then we created an event in the Track app called Operation Thursday. When we log into Salamander Live, we should see both events. As long as you have access to the organization in which those events were created under, you should see both events. And you see them listed here under recent events. You'll see both of them listed. So if I go to my event side, right now they're as 2 separate events. However, I want the data to be merged. I want everybody through the Track app and RapidTag to be checking in people for the same event. So how do I do that? There's 2 options on here. One's called an internal join and one's called a pin join. I'm not going to go into the details with pin join because that's going to be a training on its own. If you're interested about the pin join itself and that whole process, you can go through Salamander University, watch the video watch some past recordings or look at the user guide that has information. But in this case, for the internal join, this is for organizations that you have access to. So you'll see at the bottom over here, my organizations I have access to is everything. I'm an administrator at the very top, so I have access to all organizations and all the events they create. But, and so in this case, if I join these events, I would be able to see all that data. Now, one thing to note on here is that you want to make sure that the Track App people and the Raptake people are from the same event or from the same organization. If they are not, and they don't have access to each other's database, you'll have to do what's called a pin join. So a pin join, in this case, you'd have to go in here and create a pin. So you have to create a pin in here, activate it, and then you can basically send that pin over to the other organization. If you're at the very top and you have access, you can do all this by yourself, or send this over to the other organization. They can join using that pin, okay? So that's what you would do, is you would create that pin. Once you get the pin, send that over to the other organization. They can join using this one, join that pin, enter that pin in there, and now you'll be able to see the same data. However, still keep your organization database separate. So you can't see whatever they have in here for people, equipment, collections, but under the event, you'll be able to see the event data. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to do an internal join since it's for the same organization. So whichever event that you select first will be the parent. So in this case, I just selected Raptake, so that's going to be the first. Once I click join, it's going to say join events. They're the same name, so that's why there's only one name on here. If they were said differently, you will have two different names on here. So I'm going to tap join. Now they're joined. You'll see on here, Raptake is the name that we took. Yes, joined, primary event, and joined. So right now what's happening within our Track App and within Raptake is all that data is being synced up. So in this case, you'll see in here, now that's syncing up right here. So that just synced. I have mine to set up to sync every 1 minute. You can set that up under the file options. So you'll see this is pulling everything from the Track App. So that's what I'm saying, whereas that if you have internet connection, all that data is being synced back and forth. So you'll know exactly, when you're looking at tracking all your resources, you know exactly where they're at, etc. The other thing with the Raptake itself is you don't have a lot of the information. A lot of the information you'll be able to view within the Track App, but not within Raptake, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So in here you'll see all these people. These are all people that were pulled in through the Track App. If you click on that person's profile, it'll just, again, it's going to pull just the basic information. It just shows that they are CERT unit leader. Donald Brown doesn't have any other information in here, which is the difference between Raptake and the Track App. If I go to the Track App, I would see all his other information. Oh, and I meant to do that one more time. I go back in here. You'll see in here it's going to pull all those different assignments. Again, this is available with version 5. So all the different assignments within Track App, if I had this connected with command, it will pull all those assignments as well. And I can move people through Raptake if I choose to do so. Okay, so again, version 5. Looking at my Track App event, you'll see that my Track App event has also, again, pulled everybody from Raptake. So you'll see here, Checkton Westgate is all those people. If I tap on that, it should show my people. Alan Davis, if I tap on his name, it's going to just show basic information from his profile within Salamander Live and his assignment time. Same thing on here. So again, much more information you're going to find on here for each person. You see, remember Donald Brown, remember I was telling you that you have more information within the Track App. This is what I mean by more information. Yeah, their profile, their birthday, all their qualifications. And then, of course, their assignment history, which you're not going to get through Raptake. But again, Raptake is just mainly used to check in people, not to view this information. Okay? Questions. Questions. This is a training in itself when it comes to events the events dashboard and all the reports, but there's a bunch of different information you can find in here when it comes to looking at the event data. There's a roster tile that you can go for resource tracking of their times. If you need to fix anything, that's what this is made for. There's a map function that it corresponds with your track app users as they join an event. They will appear on a map pin. And then you have a burn down, and then you have a resource timer, and then there's a chart function as well too. So depending on your package, you may see some or all of these different tiles on here. So I obviously have all access to all of them. And then over here is your reports. So there's a bunch of different reports in here that you'll be able to view for the event itself. Rapid Tag, there's no reports in version 5. So make sure that you sync up everything. So at the end of the day, make sure you do one last sync before you end the event. Once you end the event, you cannot get that data again from Rapid Tag. It's gone. All the data now is going to be available within Salamander Live here under the reports. So that's going to be very important. For the track app, obviously, once you're done at the end of the day, just make sure that you back out of the event. So one thing, of course, for all events, making sure everybody's been moved to the off-scene assignment. All these numbers at the top here should be 0. And make sure you end the event. So tap the back button. So your track app users don't have the capability to end the event. You're only Salamander Live and Command. For Rapid Tag, you still have to end the event no matter what. You always have to end the event. So at the end of the day, you verify with your other solutions that everybody's been moved off scene. Of course, you can double check off scene, the assignment to make sure they're all off scene, and just click end once you've synced so that you can end that event. And then in Salamander Live, you have the option to end the event there if you don't have Command. So in this case, you can just click on that and click end the event. Okay, so any questions? This ended because I had Rapid Tag as the main event. That's why when I click end, it ended. If I had Track App as the main, if I ended Rapid Tag, it would not have ended. But because my application is being run from Rapid Tag, that's why. Okay, so questions. Okay, I have a question that populated. Let me pull that up real quick here. Not related to training. Any update on Track App update that would fix a barcode issue we're having? Yes. So what Steve is talking about is that in the Track App itself, there is a bug when it comes to scanning in PDF 14 type barcodes. And what that is, it's not the linear barcodes, it's just a longer barcode. It looks like a linear barcode, but it's not. And what's going on is that there's an issue with the Track App. So if you have credentials that have that longer PDF 14 type barcode, it may not scan. And yes, this has been reported to our development team, and they are working on it. So I will have to follow up with our development team. I think it's going to be for this next release that they're fixing that in, or it could be a hot fix. But I will make sure to follow up with you, Steve. I know that you're looking at using that for a event soon, so I'll make sure to get that information. It's either going to be this next release or it's going to be a hot fix. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right. Well, as usual, thank you guys all so much for joining me on the call today. Feel free to contact us. Obviously, your first contact is going to be your local sales rep. That's your primary contact. But if you have questions on today's training, you can, of course, always email me at training@salamanderlive.com, and we'll be glad to assist with any questions and concerns that you have. Other than that, have a wonderful day. If you guys want to join me for next month, let me see here. What are we covering next month? Actually, don't have a topic yet for next month. So if there is something specific you want me to cover for next month, I don't think I have a topic for next month. I thought I did, but I don't think there's anything in here for next month. But if there is, I will make sure to let you guys know. I know I have it out till October. I can't remember what it actually is, but make sure you look out for our customer bulletin, which has that information. Next week, when I go over this again, I'll make sure I have the correct information, what's being covered for September, October. I know I have actual training scheduled for those times and topics selected already. So other than that, thank you guys all so much. I really appreciate your time joining me on these calls. Really appreciate it. So have a wonderful day. Take care, everyone.